Well, hello and welcome. I'm Misheard with Misheard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're at season 6, episode 280. Wow, wow, wow. The misheard lyric is, well, I'm a running down the road trying to loosen my load. Got a world of trouble on my mind. Looking for a lover who won't blow my brother. She's so hard to find. And the correct lyrics is, well, I'm running down the road trying to loosen my load. Got a world of trouble on my mind. Looking for a lover who won't blow my cover. She's so hard to find. It's amazing how brother and cover can change the meaning of the lyrics. So that's the misheard song lyric. If you haven't guessed it, it's the Eagles' Take It Easy, and we have lots of things to go over. So I don't know if you remember, for some of you that have been with me since 2019, if you have, thank you for listening. But the last time I did an Eagles misheard song lyric, it was back on season 3, so I'm guessing 2021, episode 128, right? So we're working on 280 now, so it's quite a ways. It was the Eagles' Life in the Fast Lane. The misheard was Flies in the Vaseline. So that was the last time we did it. So it was time coming for another Eagles. So we're talking about Take It Easy. It is a debut single by the American rock band Eagles, and it was written by Jackson Browne and Eagles band member Glenn Frey, who also provides lead vocals. So the setup was Glenn Frey did the lead vocals and acoustic rhythm guitar for the song. Bernie Leadon did harmony and backing vocals, lead guitar, banjo. Randy Meisner did harmony and backing vocals, bass, and Don Henley also did harmony and backing vocals, and he did drums. So it was released way back when on May 1st, 1972, so literally close to my birth month and year, essentially, and peaked number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart on July 22nd, 1972. It also had the opening track of the band's debut album and has become one of their signature songs, I agree, including on all of their live and compilation albums. It's also listed as one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. And Jackson Browne later recorded the song as a lead track on his second album, For Every Man, in 1973, and released it as a single as well, although it did not chart. So it was a good thing that it worked out for the Eagles, because either way, Mr. Browne gets some kind of compensation, right? And we'll talk about who he is, because some of you youngins are like, who's Jackson Browne? So let's start with the Eagles, just to level set, okay? The Eagles are an American rock band. They actually formed back in 1971. So what is that? This year, since I'm filming this and doing this episode in 2025, it's going to be, 54 years ago? Wow. In Los Angeles, with 5 number 1 singles, 6 number 1 albums, 6 Grammy Awards, and 5 American Music Awards. The Eagles were one of the most successful musical acts of the 1970s in North America, and are one of the world's best-selling musical artists, having sold more than 200 million records worldwide, including 100 million sold in U.S. alone. Again, this is a time when nothing was downloaded. Majority of this was people going to the record store to buy it. Okay? They were inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as they should, in 1998, and were ranked number 75 on Rolling Stone's 2010 list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. So the founding members were Glenn Frey, again, said guitar vocals, Don Henley, drums, vocals, Bernie Leadon, guitar vocals, and Randy Meisner, bass, guitar, vocals. And this is how it started, which I did not know this again after doing this research. They were recruited by none other than Linda Ronstadt as band members for her tour. And they all played on her self-titled third solo album in 1972 before venturing out on their own as the Eagles on David Geffen's new Asylum Records label. So they were her touring band. So awesome. And then their debut album called Eagles 1972 spawned 2 top 20 singles in the U.S. and Canada, including Take It Easy and Witchy Woman. In 1974, guitarist Don Felder joined, and On the Border produced the top 40 hit Already Gone, and the Eagles' first number 1 song in the U.S. and Canada, Best of My Love, which made the top 15 in Australia. Hello, mates. Their first hit overseas. And then in 1975, the album One of These Nights, God, they have so much good songs, became their first number 1 album in the U.S. and a top 10 album in many countries. It included number 1 hit One of These Nights, which was their first top 10 hit outside of North America, and U.S. top 5 single Lion Eyes and Take It to the Limit. Also in 1975, Leland left the band and was replaced by guitarist and vocalist Joe Walsh, famous Joe Walsh. Okay, fast forward, the Eagles broke up in 1980 but reunited in 1994 for the album Hell Freezes Over. You'll hear more about that later, so just put a pin on that. And then 2007, the Eagles released Long Road Out of Eden, their sixth #1 album in the U.S. And in 2008, launched the Long Road Out of Eden tour. In 2013, they began the extended History of the Eagles tour in conjunction with the documentary release of History of the Eagles. And then following Glenn Frey's death in January 2016, sadly, the Eagles did reform in 2017 with Glenn's son, Deacon Frey, and country singer, I didn't know this, Vince Gill sharing lead vocals for Frey's songs. Deacon then left the band in 2022, but returned in 2023 to participate in the band's ongoing final tour, and then Meisner died in 2023. So I'm telling you, the older we get, we lose people, unfortunately. So we're going to talk about Jackson Browne first, because some of you are like, I don't know who he is. Okay, that's fair. He was originally the one that wrote Take It Easy in 1971 for his own debut album, but was having difficulty finishing the song. So who is he? He has actually been born Clyde Jackson Browne, still with us, born on October 9th, 1948. He is also an American rock musician, singer, songwriter, and political activist who sold over 30 million albums in the U.S. So nothing to be shy at. He is very, very successful. He actually started as a teenage songwriter in the mid-60s in LA and had his first success writing songs for others. He wrote a song called These Days as a 16-year-old. That's amazing. And the song became a minor hit for a German singer and interesting Andy Warhol protege Nico in 1967. So that's how he started. Then Jackson Browne wrote several songs for a fellow Southern California band, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, maybe you've heard of it, in which he was briefly a member in 1966, and Eagles, the latter of whom he had his first top 40 hit in 1972 with the song we're talking about, which he co-wrote, Take It Easy. And encouraged by his successes writing songs for others, he's like, you know what, maybe I should do my own. So he released his self-titled debut album in 1972, also my birth year, it's a good year, which included 2 top 40 hits of his own, Doctor, My Eyes, and Rock Me on the Water. For his debut album, as well as the next several albums and concert tours, Jackson Browne started to work closely with what they're called The Section. They're a prolific session band, which also worked with a number of other prominent singers-songwriters of the era. And his second album, For Every Man, was released a year later in 1973, and his third album, Late for the Sky, a year later after that in 74, was his most successful to the point, peaking at number 14 on the Billboard 200 album chart. Then in 1976, Jackson Browne came out with his fourth album called The Pretender. It continued the pattern of each album topping the previous by peaking at number 5 on the album chart. You always want your next album to do better, right? And included the hit singles Here Comes Those Tears Again and The Pretender. Then in 1977, Browne's album called Running on Empty, however, is his signature work. It rose to number 3, so it even did better on the album chart and remained there for over a year. Both live and a concept album, it explores the songs, the themes of life as a touring musician, makes sense, Running on Empty. And the album was recorded both on stage and in places touring musicians spend time when not playing, such as hotel rooms, backstage, and in one case on a moving tour bus. I love it. The album produced 2 top 40 singles, Running on Empty and The Load Out Stay, and many of the other tracks became popular radio hits on the what they call AOR format. Browne was successful with his albums through the 1980s, including the 1980 album Hold Out, which was his only #1 album, the non-album single Somebody's Baby, which was used in the film The Fast Times at Ridgemont High, dude, love it, and in 1983's Lawyers in Love, which included the hit single Tender is the Night. In 1986, he released Lives in the Balance, which had several radio hits and included the introspective song called In the Shape of a Heart, which sadly was inspired by the suicide of his first wife a decade prior. And his string of hit albums came to an end, unfortunately, at this point. And his next several albums failed to produce a gold or platinum RIAA rating. And in 2015, Rolling Stones ranked him 37th in its list of the 100 greatest songwriters of all time. So pretty much peaked, and then when mid to late 80s came, that's when he didn't have as much hits. But he is well known, obviously, in these won Grammys, I'm guessing. So back to the song again. So how it came to the Eagles' hands is Browne's friend Glenn Frey, who lived in the same Echo Park, California apartment building as Browne. That's how it works. And he heard an early version and later asked Browne about it. Browne then played the unfinished second verse that begins with, well, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. Sorry, let me do that again. Where it's the second verse that begins with, well, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. And Frey finished the verse with such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down to take a look at me. I love those words. Browne was very happy with the result and suggested they finish the song together. The resulting song became the first track on the Eagles' debut album, and the rest was history. They released it for their first single. Browne told a version of the story in a radio interview. He said, quote unquote, I knew Glenn Frey from playing these clubs. We kept showing up at the same clubs and singing on the same open mic nights. Glenn happened to come by to say hi and to hang around when I was in the studio, and I showed him the beginnings of that song. And he asked if I was going to put it on my record. And I said it wouldn't be ready in time. He said, well, we'll put it on. We'll do it, because he liked it. Browne explained, but it wasn't finished, and he kept after me to finish it, and finally offered to finish it himself. And after a couple of times when I declined to have him finish my song, I said, all right. I finally thought, this is ridiculous. Go ahead and finish it. Do it. And he finished it in a spectacular fashion. And what's more, arranged in a way that was far superior to what I've written. That's pretty cool. And still got co-writing rights on it, because of course he started it, but thanks to Glenn Frey finishing, and the rest is history. And we're talking about this misheard song lyric with this song. Well, how did it do? Well, it did quite well. It has been regarded as one of the Eagles' best songs. In 2017, Billboard thought so too, and ranked the song number 3 on their list of the 15 greatest Eagles songs. And in 2019, Rolling Stones ranked the song number 2 on their list of the 40 greatest Eagles songs. The song was released originally as the first single of the Eagles in May of 1972, like I said earlier, entered in the Billboard Hot 100 number 79 and on the chart of date of June 3rd, 1972. Then it was like a slow simmer, Stayed for 11 weeks on the chart that summer, peaked at number 12 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 on July 22nd, 1972. And then it also peaked number 12 on the same week on the Easy Listening chart, later known as the Adult Contemporary, a chart it first entered at number 40 on June 17th, 1972. So there you go. But I want to touch on the famous lyric, the Winslow, Arizona. This is where I was delighted to find some tidbits. So according to Glenn Frey, the second verse of Take It Easy, referring to time when Jackson Browne automobile malfunction in Winslow, Arizona, during one of his trips to Sedona, required him to spend a long day in Winslow. Well, in 1999, in responding to the lyrics that made it famous, the city of Winslow erected a life-size bronze statue and mural commemorating the song standing on the corner. I thought that was cool. The statue stands near a lamppost, the male figure securing an acoustic guitar between his right hand and the shoe of his right foot. Above his head, a metal sign crafted in the style of U.S. route shields displays the word standing on the corner from the lyrics of the song. And then what's cool is the mural on the wall behind the statue is that of a storefront, includes what would appear to be the reflection of a red flatbed Ford pickup truck driven by a blonde-haired woman, just like the lyrics. The second floor of the mural features an eagle perched in one window on the left and a man and woman, apparently the man in the corner and woman in the truck, embracing in another window on the right. That sign has become a landmark that attracted many visitors to the town. I need to go to Winslow, Arizona to see this for myself. There has, however, been some confusion about the location of the original incident that inspired the story in the lyrics. In an interview with Matthew Ziegler, Jackson Browne related that it took place in actually Flagstaff, Arizona, at the Wiener Schnitzel, now the Dog House, spelled Haus, at the corner of East Route 66 and Switzer Canyon. According to Browne, a young woman cruised by in a Toyota pickup and looked at him at the image stuck with him. Browne had told Frey about the woman in the truck, and Frey then used the incident to add the line about the woman to the song. Perfect. However, Browne also stated in an interview with Los Angeles Times that he was always Winslow where his automobile had malfunctioned, although the image of the girl driving a truck was an image that came from the east, which was East Flagstaff. The lines are therefore what they call an amalgamation of two different events. So they're both in Arizona, one in Winslow, one in Flagstaff. So, very cool. Did you know on September 24th, 2016, a life-size tribute statue of Glenn Frey was added to the standing on the corner park in Winslow, Arizona to honor his songwriting contributions to Take It Easy. Funds for this new statue, which depicted Frey as he appeared in the 1970s, was raised by Mark and Neanderthal, apparently Mark Devine and Paul Marshall. It was a morning show from Phoenix Classic Rock Station 100.7 KSLX, the city of Winslow, and the Standing on the Corner Foundation. They raised the funds to get that made. I thought that was cool. The other cool thing about it was later on down in 1993, country singer Travis Tritt also covered the song for the Eagles tribute album Common Thread, the song's The Eagles. The video for Tritt's version is notable for the appearance of all 5 members of the Eagles together again for the first time in 13 years after their breakup, okay? The story goes, Tritt made a request from members of the Eagles to appear in his video for his song, and the resulting video for Tritt's version featured the Eagles lineup from 1978 to 1980. So you had Don Henley, Glenn Frey, Don Felder, Joe Walsh, and Timothy B. Schmidt playing billiards in a local tavern and performing it as a house band. Frey, who had previously been reluctant to reunite with the band, later said, quote unquote, "After years passed, you really started to remember that you were friends first. I just remembered how much we generally had liked each other and how much fun we'd had." Frey and Henley subsequently met with their management over lunch 2 months after the filming of that Travis Tritt video and agreed to have a reunion of the Eagles. And from that, a new album, Hell Freezes Over, was released and a tour launched the following year. So thanks to Travis Tritt, they got them back together in 1993 and the mid-90s, and there you go. So I learned so much. I'm so glad I did it. It's not about, blowing, what is it? Won't blow my brother. It's won't blow my cover. Like I said, totally different meaning. If you have any great suggestions like this misheard song lyric, please send it to any of our sites like Instagram, Facebook, or just send me a good old-fashioned email at misheard, that's MISSHEARD songs @gmail.com. Till then, keep singing those songs wrong. Bye.